There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. We're doing crazy, chaosy stuff here, including spilling my coffee. How in the world did this occur? This is The Experience, and we're here with Talking Shop, talking to amazing creators for things that are coming out this week. I just need it on the floor. I need to charge. So I was trying to plug my phone in so it's charging. You know how it is when you get to your last bars and you start freaking out in your head. Can we even exist without our cell phones? We'll discuss maybe some other day. But right now, we're going to talk to some really cool guys that have not even an actual book coming out this week, but just a teaser for the retailers that are with Blue Juice Comics. Please welcome my friends Justin Gray and Barry McLean.
Hello.
What up?
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Let me take my Michael Jackson glove off here. I'm up here penciling.
Oh my gosh. This is so crazy. It's like just when you think you need a doll, it won't go where you want it to go. Oh
well. We all just trying to keep it together here. Justin out of breath. I'm all out of space. So we just trying to keep it together.
This is what Talking Shop is about, right? What is it really like to be in a comic shop? This is really it.
Just trying to keep it together.
Oh no! It's 4:02 and I'm supposed to be live at 4.
Oh,
no worries.
Thank you guys so much for being willing to come on. You think it's super easy to reach out and find people, but sometimes people's names that they use online are just a little bit different than what they do on their books. It's impossible.
Indeed.
Because I think Justin's I think you've got just initials. It's not Justin.
JB Gray, yeah, there's a lot of that. Sure.
Okay, so tell me how it happened that you guys were putting out a book that's just a teaser tomorrow.
I'll leave that to Justin. Justin, tell her real quick, man.
There's a long short story involved. I wanted to do a thing. I reached out to Barry because Barry had been asking me to do a thing for a while, and I wanted to do the right thing. The thing that worked for both of us, and that would, it would be one of those kinds of projects where the writer and the artist were on the same page with the same kind of property and the same kind of style. And Billy the Kid was the thing, and we did a little 8-page teaser, essentially for ourselves as a selling tool. And then we got all excited, as we're often, we're apt to do. And then we decided to do issue 1. And then once we did issue 1, and we kickstarted it, and people really seemed to like it, we thought, well, it doesn't really make sense to kind of kickstart 22 pages, every couple of months. So we just kind of hunkered down and started doing the book. And eventually we had all 5 issues together, and we ran a Kickstarter for that. And about halfway through the Kickstarter, we got contacted by Blue Juice, and they said, we want this book, we want to run with this thing, we want to publish it. And of course, we were very excited to know that and to get that ball rolling. And here we are with retailer issues going out to everyone so that they can see that this is something they want to order for their stores. This is something that their customers are going to want to read. They're going to want to look at Barry's gorgeous artwork and Slamette's colors and everyone else that we've pulled into the book. And it's going to be something that I think is going to be very different for people. And Barry and I seem to like to do different things. And Barry just killed it on the book. So it makes me, it makes my job so much easier. So that's how we ended up where we are now. It was just sort of a dream between the two of us, just saying, are we going to do this book? Are we going to create this character? And who's going to like this book? We had no idea. It's a talking rabbit gunslinger fighting tornado gods in the Old West. So you never know. People could either really love it or they could be like, meh, or whatever. And so far, the response has been growing. It's been a sort of snowball effect. And that's how Blue Juice put out those books to try and grab retailers and say, this is something you're going to want to pay attention to. And hopefully we're going to see a lot of that go out into stores so more people can read it.
So what I think is interesting about the way books are coming out now is that there really used to just be one kind of way to do it, or two. One, you made your own self-published work, and eventually a publisher saw you at a convention, picked it up at your table, and then contacted you later, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or that they knew you already as a creator and pulled you in and said, okay, we'll pay you a page rate or whatever to make this thing. We'll work together on doing it. It's something that didn't exist before. And now everything is so much different. There are people that are working in web comics, doing it on webtoons. There are people that are, they just have loose concepts that are pitching it. Some people have things that are self-published enough to have, like 3 trades already started and then connecting with a publisher that makes sense with them. Have you worked on other things before that this is the way that it happened? You just like went all in and made the entire thing and then it was discovered?
Well, I mean, me personally, I made mad stuff. I've been like just tracking down Justin forever because I'm a big fan of his work. But I knew I was going to get his ass one day because I was like, man, I just wanted to know for an answer. I'm gonna get you. I got you.
So there was some stalking involved here, I see.
No, because stalking is involved. Let's get that straight. Stalking was highly involved. Don't do that, guys, because if you stalk me, and don't stalk Justin because he belonged to me now. But but I stalked him, man, like the regular way you're supposed to stalk people. Yeah. Like through like the internet, you send out emails, send out samples and stuff. And Justin was just kind enough. Lucky enough that he seen something in me. I think it probably, after like 3 years of sending them samples, I probably will say it was the Ninja Turtle stuff. We probably could see I could do like animals and stuff. And that's the thing about editors and writers. You got to show them something that they do, and they see that you can do that too. They're not going to like waste their time because art is art and say, hey, draw this and draw that and not pick you for a project. And then you get all diminished and stuff. So Justin, me and him hooked up fairly. It was fair, just like Blue Juice. Everything is fair.
So where'd you see Justin's stuff first? Did you see it at a convention or something?
Well, the conventions. Mm-hmm. Well, I got signed with Valiant at the conventions. And I feel that that's the way you're supposed to do it, but I got with them, and then Blue Juice was like, okay, well, we'll work with them. And then I got like some pinups with them and stuff. But that's fair though. Like, I like the fact that Justin and Blue Juice let me go the way everybody is supposed to go. Even though we got internet and I kind of like cheated and found the back door a little bit by bugging them and stalking them. But I would have stalked them anyway if they was at the con. It don't even matter.
It's not cheating.
Regardless.
There's no guidebook on that. Whatever you can do to get in is, to create books. You're going to create books one way or another. So however you get there, the only thing that matters is that you did it.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot of it is a little bit of tenacity. And we call it stalking, but it really is just like trying to get to find someone to be in your peer group or somebody you really respect to follow and kind of. I've never heard anyone say it was the school that I went to that got me in front of someone's face. It was just like hard work ethic and just being using tenacity to like put yourself in front of as many people as you can until the match is made, right?
I'm from Jersey. I'm used to the like hard love and getting shut down. Like if you don't keep it to me real, I'll be like, I'll keep bugging you and then she'll be like, look, it's this. I'll be like, oh, okay, all right. You got to get it to me straight because if not, I'm like going to be confused and stuff. You can't really like dilly dally around. That's how you get the most out of me when you up front.
Barry, did you have the most success with like showing portfolio work, or did you just did you print?
At the con, yes. But again, I keep bringing up how I got in with Justin and Blue Juice. Was the same way you're supposed to go. You just show samples and don't give up. But unlike a lot of other editors that was dealing with me, I think, Justin, you was with New 52 at the time. I'm not sure, but
it's all a blur.
Yeah, it is all a blur. But where we at now, it definitely is a blur, a beautiful blur, man. But I showed him the samples, but Justin gave me feedback. A lot of people don't give you feedback. Like Mike Grell gave me feedback and stuff like that. He kind of got me in, and Shannon there didn't. He got me feedback, but Justin really, I'm not even joking. He like said, yo, man, those X, you guys still like don't fill in your X's on your pencils? fill it in a little bit. And then I got better because his advice ultimately got me to Valiant or Indoor Blue Juice. You know what I mean?
So Barry,
So-
are you self-taught, or did you take classes, or did you have a mentor?
Self-taught mostly. My mom was great. I swear, man, like she should have been a comic book artist. It would have been amazing. But I went to Catherine Gibbs for 2 years, got an associate's degree in graphic design. You do that. But I only got that because I was like, I ain't sitting in my mom and them house with them telling me what to do like at 20, man. I got to get out the house and go to school. Because they don't be bitching at me, man. I ain't trying to hear that. So I went to school for it. That just taught me computers, really, like graphic, like how to use the Pro Tools on that. But everything else was just tenacity, just going, reading comics. But I'm a writer fan more than I am an artist fan. I know it's kind of odd, but I'm a fan of the writer because the writer does stuff that I can't do. They kind of like take my time out in half. All I got to do is just like do it like mindlessly and then add a little bit of splash to it. You know what I mean? Especially with a good writer, you know what I mean? Like I deal with a lot of bad writers now. I have to like do everything and like overthink everything. Mm-hmm. But you know, being self-taught and a little bit of schooling, and the reason why I say a little bit of schooling because it was 2 years, it was associate's degree.
I think that's why you go back to like picking people who are enthusiastic about a project, who you know that they're going to gravitate towards the material.
Yeah,
that's part of it too. I mean, it was some Ninja Turtles samples that you showed me, but it was overall. I knew you were going to bring this energy to whatever you did, and I just wanted to make sure it was going to be something that you felt passionate about doing. It wasn't something where you're like, okay, I get to draw character X for 24 pages and whatever. That's a dream fulfilled. Yeah. I wanted it to be more something where you got up every day and you were like, I want to do this.
Yeah,
fun because we don't get into this because we're going to be millionaires and we're going to go to an office every day and grind it out. We do it for a certain percentage of joy.
Yeah,
and that has to show up on the page.
Yeah, it's fun. I love working with them. Man, like we're brothers, though. I mean, obviously we're brothers, but I love this book and I enjoy my job. I finally get to work on a project that I enjoy every day. And I had to I was lucky to be in a flux to know Justin, know Tom Mum from Blue Juice, and they both get together. I was like, the only way for me to honestly be happy for the rest of my life doing this stuff is to make sure that I have a team that I really trust and I really honestly like the people I work with. I can make money with dicks. That's easy. But it's like, why not get a reward for working with dicks all the time? You know what I mean?
That's what we want people to know when they pick up the book, that it's, I want that same enthusiasm to be conveyed to them. So they're excited to read the book. They're excited to get the next issue.
Oh, yeah. So Barry, you said that you were a big fan of Justin's first. What things did Justin do that you were like a super fan about?
The thing that I like this Hellboy stuff, but it was really the Jonah Hex stuff. And I'm a real type of person. I like short stories and horror stuff like that because my mom's a horror chick. I grew up horror. And I got this real cute picture of me sitting on my mom's stomach, my sister in her belly. She reading a Fangoria. I'm reading a Spider-Man. My dad snapped a picture. But it's just like in my blood. Like I knew about like Tom Savini and Rob Bottin and stuff like that. Like back in the day at school, and I couldn't talk to the rest of the kids because they like talk about Kumo D and stuff like that, like rappers.
I love Kumo D. Sorry, just throwing that in there.
Stevie Justin's a hip hop head. There you go. But I like the horror stuff, and I found a couple freaks here and there, but we're far and few. But I'm in love with the horror and comics and like that.
Which is how that's part of how you shaped the direction of the book too, because it was going in one direction, and then I started seeing, because I was writing scripts that were just basically direction scripts, not hardcore broken down scripts like I was writing DC or Marvel, and I would just be like, let's see what Barry comes up with. And Barry kept gravitating towards this sort of sweet spot of 80s, early 90s horror. And I was like, all right, let's just try and go in that direction. And I think it works. I think there's enough joy in that. I keep going back to joy because comics are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be an escape. They can mirror real life, but I think a lot of times it's nice to have a couple of issues where there just is no reality whatsoever.
Yes.
So
I
yeah,
like
those
those.
horror elements, especially I want to say 3 is where you really started to just like let it all get out there and be like, I'm just doing this, and there's blood flying everywhere, and so it's very interesting to me how the book has changed.
Justin, do you have a lot of other self-created work outside of your work for the big companies?
I do. That's what I've been primarily doing for the last now 6 years. I've been, there are high points and low points of any sort of work for hire situation, or when you're employed by a corporation or a company. And I feel like my personal high points were the time that Jimmy and I were able to do Jonah Hex, and then when we did Power Girl, and then Daughters of the Dragon. Like those 3, there's a lot of stuff I enjoy doing. There's some stuff I just didn't want to do because it just happens. It's not all perfect. But I've decided now that in doing these books and working with artists and employing people as just creating books has been an incredibly rewarding and growth experience for me, both as a writer and as a person.
That's awesome. Okay, so we've had 2 questions pop up. One was from a bot and wants to know if you would be famous and you can buy a bunch of fans from them. Awesome. And the next one's an actual question from Corey Dempsey that says, how much of the script did you write for the video game Mortal Kombat versus DCE?
That is, I'm going to go Sweden on this because it was a very interesting time period. It's not so much. It's very much a collaborative effort. Video games, like comics, are collaborative, and you have maybe 7-8 people sort of at a time, coordinating that thing. Right. I was in a room full of people at a giant desk and standing up, which is something I am completely averse to, and talking about how this video game is going to work. And it's so multi-tiered, and there's so many layers, and it's not just the story, it's every piece of graphic, it's every environment. There's groups of people that do this, there's groups of people that do that. So sometimes it's not this, it's definitely not the same thing as writing a script for a film or a comic. Because there's so many moving parts and so many different groups of creative people involved that you sometimes write sections of script, you sometimes oversee direction of things, you sometimes just sort of corral character representations. Right. So that was a great learning experience, and I had a lot of fun with Ed Boon and his team and the Warner Brothers team, and kind of finding a way to just do. It was one of those things where I was doing things I had never done before, on top of doing the creative writing stuff. So I can't. I mean, it's really is a collaborative effort among a bunch of different writers and a bunch of different groups of people. So there isn't an architect who sits down and creates something that massive.
That's really cool. Thanks, Corey, for the question, because I did not know that existed, because I'm not a gamer.
Shame on you.
No, wait. Okay. I am a gamer. Candy Crush, but that's it.
All right. See? There you go. The game was down.
I'm so sorry. I get so frustrated I love watching my sons, their adult sons now, play, but I myself find myself to be very frustrated by things that aren't puzzles to be solved, and instead of just like, I just got shot in the head, I guess I gotta start over again. That's not for me.
You're a puzzler.
I like jumping puzzles. I'm notorious among my friends for not liking jumping puzzles and having to get carried through. Embarrassing.
It's so horrible. All right, so why Billy the Kid? What do you use? Is this inspired by something that actually exists? Because when I look up Billy the Kid, a lot of other weird stuff shows up that I don't know that is related in any way.
No, it went through a bunch of different incarnations. There was a Dust Bunny comic that I wasn't aware of. So originally it was kind of Dust Bunny. It was a very Western Dust Bowl thing. And then when I saw that there were so many things connected to that, I wanted to change the name. Initially, it was just sort of an animation idea for a after midnight stoner college crowd to watch this sort of adult samurai type thing.
Okay.
And in working with Barry and the organic nature of the creation of it, it changed a lot. It started out as this sort of over the top. It's still over the top. I'm not going to say it's not.
I know. Come on, don't front, dog. You know that shit crazy.
Yeah. So it was a animation idea because originally there was this period of time where comics almost exclusively was generating IPs to sell them to something else because comics doesn't make video game money. There's a very big difference. So everyone was looking to generate IPs, and since then I've moved away from that. I've just kind of I've had enough experience with Hollywood and to know that if I don't just create stuff for my own enjoyment and for the enjoyment of whoever wants to read it, then you can get a little crazy and it can make you, it can upset you, and it's not very healthy. So Billy the Kid was one of those things where Barry and I were just like, you know what, we're just going to do this, and whatever happens, happens. And we know that it's a talking animal comic set in the Wild West with a rabbit who shoots fire guns at demons, monsters, and tornado gods. But it was also this really heartfelt thing about a character that wanted to build himself back up, that had been wronged so badly and had been a very weak and should have died kind of character who somehow survived when better people than himself survived, and he lost his entire family. And what kind of character comes out of that was where we blended those two things together, where it was this sort of unexpected emotional character and then this over-the-top mixture of Western horror, Euro, Western spaghetti, Western stuff. And that's just it's an organic process, which you don't really get a lot of times when you're doing corporate stuff where you have to have a 6-month outline and you have to coordinate what characters can be in your book and who's using what. So that, again, that's why I've had so much fun working with Barry and doing creator-owned stuff and just generating books for the joy of comics.
So this is kind of the tease that we're getting on Wednesday. When is the envisionment for the #1 issue to come out, or are they waiting to see what the response is?
No, it's October.
Okay, perfect.
But this is just to let you guys know, like, here's this book, and we're passionate about it. Barry's obviously passionate about it. I'm passionate about it. Blue Juice feels 100% that this is something that people are going to enjoy, and that's what we're doing. And so they put the book out for all the retailers to have a chance to sample this book and say, this is what we're doing. Here's a little peek at what the series is about, and hopefully, there's enough interest that it'll get out there to fans, because I know there's a fan base for it. You just never know when you create something new, when you do something that's a little bit different or a lot bit different. You just never know. So getting as many people early on invested in it and letting them know that, this is a passionate book, and this, there's no ulterior motives in this book. It's just pure joy. It's the joy of comics. It's you can see it in every line that Barry draws, in every panel. You just see everything jumping out. I mean, there's a lot of old school Spider-Man. There's a lot of old school bombastic Kirby and just energy to it.
It's gonna be a killer. You crazy? See, Jesse, it's this thing to be nice and everything like that, and be humble. But I'm humble, but I got caught, like I said, guys. This is like the best book I've ever drawn. All right.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
It's like the best book I've ever drawn.
Yeah.
I've drawn
and
a
it
lot
gets
of
better every issue. I don't know if I tell you that enough.
Yeah.
Every issue, your artwork gets better.
Justin.
You get a better control of it.
Thank you. Oh, look! I swear to God, Jen. And see, to hear him say that to me, that makes me so happy.
No, I mean, by issue 5, you're like totally in the groove, and I hope everyone buys the book to get to read and watch that growth. And
they ain't see nothing yet. But I'm telling you, I know. Like, I'm look at it as a fan, because I'm a fan first before I'm an artist. You know what I mean? And so I get excited about it because I look at like the covers and stuff and the cover concept we have, and when I like do my pencils, oh my God, I get so excited, man. That's how I know I do stuff for money, and I don't be excited about it. You know what I mean? And I get the money.
You're spoiled too. I just let you do whatever you want. I just give you the script. I'm like, here's a block of text.
Exactly.
5 pages out of that. So
I get to do anything I want. It's like I get to do anything I want. Jen, I swear to you, anything I want. And like anything. I'm like that with my band too. Like they let me do whatever.
Sometimes it's creative, so you got to go in there and kind of rework things. But it's been an interesting process. That's what I mean by Stan and
You've got
Jackie's
to
do that.
remember right now to call up your local comic shop and make sure they have Billy the Kid coming for you. If they don't have this preview, you have them order it before that's not possible, and at least get you on the poll for the October #1, because as you know right now, especially during COVID times, things are a little crazy, and you don't want to just like rely on it to magically show up on the shelf. You need to let your local comic shop know that
I'm the type of person, I call them, Jen. I call them myself. I've been calling them. If it's your mind pie, I'm calling you. Like, you got to tell me, like, look, leave me alone. Like, I'm calling them.
I love it so much when creators call me, by the way. You can call me anytime at the shop. Oh, look, here it is. Look at it. This is what it looks like. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's oversized. It's a big comic.
Justin and Barry, tell everybody where they should follow you on the socials.
My website's jvgray.com. I'm on some of the social media app. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, but I don't use it properly, so I get a little salty every once in a while. But,
he's a bad boy.
I don't know like what I mean, if you want to know about the books, then yeah, you're definitely going to hear about the books. So
Just
but
know
I'm pretty easy to find.
You can get me on Facebook, Twitter, Barry McLean Jr. on Twitter. You can get me on Barry McLean Jr. on Facebook. And again, I just usually be talking shit about lazy artists and stuff. So and then you can get me on get any of my old stuff like buybluejuice.com, Amazon and all that. And check me out on mechaworkshop.com too, because I'm doing some toy property over there with some guys with Brandon Easton and stuff. So
perfect. Thank you guys so much for giving me time for your day. We'll totally have you back, especially after we see how this rolls out. And I'll be a big fan, I'm sure, when I read the first one. So I want to talk to you guys about
Thank you,
book
Jen.
one.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much. Stay tuned to the experience because we have another awesome guest coming up, Josh Starnes. We're keeping it rolling with all our favorite indies. Thanks, guys, so much.
Thank you.
Later, guys.
All right.
Late.
You are watching Minute to Skim It on the experience. So, hello. All right, we've got lots of books to review for you guys today. And Hannah just basically showed up just the #1s and showed them to me, and I was like, "Oh, we have
just for the indies."
Just for the indies, yeah. I was like, we have got a lot to do. our next guest is coming, but technology is fun. So, Mr. Starnes is coming. By the way, we had a really great time for Free Comic Book Day on Saturday. I don't know if you guys got to go to your local comic shop and support them. If you didn't get a chance to go, you might message them and see if they have some extra Free Comic Book Day books. They might still have some for you that they'd be willing to let you have. Or you might be able to donate a little bit of money to the charity they're supporting and make sure that you can help them out. Get, some cool stuff to people that are in need. And grab some up then. There were some really great titles. And the way that they usually use Free Comic Book Day books, or at least the smart publishers do, is they introduce things that are coming out soon. So, for example, one of the big hot books was House of Slaughter, which is tied into something is killing the children. So those kinds of books are announcing the next big storyline, which is going to be House of Slaughter, that's coming out soon. And if it's anything like Something is Killing the Children, which you cannot get, hardly any of the trade paperbacks even, and none of the individual issues. I think the most you can still order from the distributor is like the book that is still in play is like number 17 or something, and you can't get anything that's newer. So be paying attention to the books that were released on Free Comic Book Day, because they're a good indicator of what the publishers feel are the things that you should be focusing on, or what they're focusing on going forward, and they want you to know everything about. So coming up, my good friend Josh Starnes from Red 5, who was here on Free Comic Book Day with us, which is the reason why I mentioned it. Welcome, Josh. Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Haven't put this on the desktop.
Feel like I haven't seen you in 48 hours.
Can't I hear anything?
Uh-oh.
Okay, for some reason, I can't hear you.
Well, I can hear you, so it's good. We can hear you.
What is happening?
Trying to think of what the fixes are.
Got my speakers on?
Barbara
Trust me
Mendez
to
is
ruin it
here.
for everybody.
Hi, Barbara. That's Willie, my
Let's
friend
see.
from
Let's see
LA.
if I can test to
If you
make
ever
sure
go
I'm
to
actually
the LA
getting
area,
sound.
go to the Art District, which is near, the other famous place, Beverly Hills, and go see Willie at her awesome. Oh, can you hear?
I can hear you.
Talking about Willie's place in LA.
Which I still have not seen. I'm terribly, terribly jealous, because she's been showing me photos of it for years, and I always said, like, whenever the pandemic ended and I actually got back out to LA again, one of the first things I wanted to do was actually go there and see it firsthand. And you've seen it before me. That is not fair.
Turn it down and it'll stop doing the feedback loop.
There we go. How's that?
Perfect. Okay, so we had a really fun time during Free Comic Book Day because you did a crazy thing, and the book that you wrote and is coming out on Wednesday, The Box, you brought with you and allowed us early access to. So we actually have feedback from some people that picked it up on that day and said that it's amazing.
Oh, good.
Amazing. They've already added it to their pull box. They've added the box to their pull box. Get it?
The box is in the box. That's what I want to hear.
And I have been getting messages all day about people wanting to pick up the cool variant. So that's kind of cool. So Josh was super sweet and let me design my own cover of ridiculousness. I know there's more negative space than there is image there, but people like it. So tell everyone about what's the pitch for the box.
So the pitch for the box is, imagine the Maltese Falcon, except instead of a big jewel-encrusted statue, what everybody wants is a magic box that you can take out whatever you ask for out of it. So you have this private eye who has the box, and he's been using it to help himself in his career. But now he has been framed for murder. He discovered that the mob and the government and some previous owners of the box all want it from him, and will do whatever it takes to get it from him. And you can't just take it. it has to be freely given. So they're going to apply pressure to him to, in whatever means they have to, endanger his friends and family if they have to, in order to get him to give it up. So now he has gone on the run from the police, and he is trying to figure out how he got framed and clear his name and see if he can keep from giving the box to the bad guys.
Okay, so what you just told me is that it can't be stolen from him, and it can't be forced from him. He has to give it. Does it have to be willingly, or can it be coerced, and that works for the box, or does the box know that?
So the one thing, so there's two. It can be coerced, but but there has to be a certain amount of willingness. So if they, it's something that the people chasing him figure out quickly early on, that if they can give him reasons to want to say yes, I will hand it over, and
Okay, so like you can kidnap someone's daughter and be like, going, that's a really nice box.
Yeah. So one thing he hasn't really realized, that he slowly starts to discover here in the first issue, is that he doesn't know as much about the box as he thinks he does. That it does in fact have a mind of its own and a will of its own, and will do what it wants. Doesn't always. It has its own agenda that he doesn't know. So he starts, for the first time, he finds the box actually doing things he didn't tell it to do, and doing its own things, and putting himself in jeopardy after all. So he's now starting to have to question. I don't know, this thing is potentially extremely dangerous, and maybe I don't want it anymore. Maybe how much bad could the bad guys get up to with it? Maybe it'll be worse for them, because it's not good to give to bad guys, but it's also not healthy to keep. So does he in this position of kind of taking care of it? And certainly his immediate friends and loved ones, as they start to get caught in the middle of all this, are kind of like, no, it's probably not good to keep. Just get rid of it. But it's not that simple. The box wants what the box wants as well.
So, do you ever delve into, in the series, any of the past owners and what they experienced with the box?
Yes, it's bits and pieces, but the main villain that you will see in the first issue is its first owner. You get a lot of where the box came from, and who the first owner was, and why he got rid of it. And then there are hints here and there, some montages here and there about what happened, previous owners who had it. Some of them were famous historical figures, and some of them just people no one ever heard of, and why they don't have it anymore. And in some cases, the terrible things that befell them that caused them to get rid of the box and want to just give it to the first person they could give it to. Although you have to kind of take some of those stories with a grain of salt, because a lot of them are being told by someone who wants the box and is trying to convince Leo, the detective, to give it up.
Okay, so the other question I have that's pretty specific is that, so you say it doesn't always give him exactly what he wants, or sometimes does things that are outside of his wish. Is it kind of like the problem that you have with like a genie, that if you're not super specific, they'll give you what you asked for, but it's only because it fits the words that you've said, but not necessarily what your intention was for what you wanted?
Something like that, or it has some idea of what your intention is. Sometimes it will go a couple of steps beyond, and it will give you what you need, but maybe not what you want. So sometimes if what you ask for is, I want $1 million, but what you want it for is to help somebody pay for their cancer treatment, it'll just give you like the cancer treatment. It's not going to give you the $1 million. You may not always know why, like, what is this thing that it gave me, and why? This is not what I asked for. I mean, we'll find that out as different people have the box. At one point, they're trapped in a room being pursued by the mob, and they ask for, help me get out of here. I need to give me a way to get out of here. And what they get are a bunch of loose parts and a diagram to build a machine out of it, rather than just like the machine itself. And sometimes just because the box has its own sense of humor. Sometimes it's helpful, and sometimes it doesn't seem like it's.
Oh my God. Oh, somebody, JD says, I won $1 million. Boom. Presto. $1 million altcoins worth 0.000865.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta be careful what you wish for. So were you inspired by something that you saw in a movie or read in a book or?
It was it came from a really goofy conversation I was having with a friend of mine. We were sitting actually several years ago because this has been sitting in different pieces, levels of completion for a long time now while I worked on other things. But at one point we were sitting down and thinking about, you know what we should do? We should create like sea-level superheroes that have really lame superpowers like the Great Lakes Avengers and go on their adventures. And sat down trying to think of the goofiest, lamest super characters that we could come up with. So he came up with his, and I came up with this guy with the box that gives him whatever he asked for out of it, except it never gives him what he asked for. It always gives him something else, and he has to figure out what to make do with that. And that was all that there was for a long time. And at a certain point, especially when the pandemic started and I set myself down to actually finish. It's been several years since I finished a new book, and I kept putting while I was working on other Red 5 stuff. And I set myself down now that I had some free time to write a new one. So I went back to that, and I had like that first bit of, okay, this is what he has. This is kind of his book, but who is this character? Where did the box come from? And what does he do with it? And and it started with like a short 8-page story, and I was like, all right, what's a good story that I can do in just 8 pages that I had as an idea for maybe a free comic book day story. And the quickest way to do that was like, okay, it's like a detective, and the box is his partner, and what's a really quick story you can do with a detective who has a magic box? Somebody wants to take the box from him. So that came up pretty quick. So from there, I had basically like the milieu that was going to be, and kind of who the person who owned the box was. It's not a superhero story anymore. And then from that, I was like, once I knew, okay, now I want to get like a full series from it. First thing I want to do is talk about a bit where this box came from, which means I need to talk about its first owner. So its first owner needs to show up, which means either the box is relatively recent, which I knew it wasn't. I knew it was like some sort of ancient magical talisman. So its owner needs to be really, really old. So why is he still around? Well, because he used the box to make himself immortal, and now he needs it back. And so, okay, now I have kind of like the first chase thing, but I introduced the mob in my short story. Like, well, I want to keep the mob in there because now they know the box. People are going to be active, and probably if they do, and if it's been around as long as it has been, other powerful forces and organizations know that as well. So this is really going to be about how Leo. This first series will be where the box came from, but also how Leo discovers that it's more than just a tool he can use, and has to think about whether he wants to keep it or not. And then hopefully from there it can start to evolve into more and more pieces of the different groups that both want it and what Leo's going to do with it. It definitely leaves, for anybody who really likes it, it does leave some dangling threads that we can go on a lot of threads at the end.
You turkey. I do love dangling threads, but they also make me crazy. Do you think that it fits in like a genre like crime noir or somewhere else?
Yeah, no, it's very. I mean, even though it does have a lot of magical and kind of surrealist elements, like the first villain, everybody said it was too goofy, but I loved it too much. The first villain was a mob boss who had stuck his head in the box at one point, or got his head stuck in the box at one point. The box replaced his head with a tiger's head. So now he's a mob boss with a tiger's head, and he's Tony the Tiger. And that was the very first villain we built. So there's definitely like some Tick level influences in there, but it's not scary at all. It's played a crime stuff, and the noir elements are played very straight detective film noir, down to like film fatales and crooked cops and that type of dialogue, all of that. But then every so often you'll throw in, oh yeah, and there's a magic box, and there's another magic box trying to eat the first magic box, and there's a tiger-headed gangster, and this stuff will kind of get thrown in, and then they'll leave it behind and go on, and then frequently, no one's like blind to it. The characters talk about the fact that all of this crazy stuff is happening, and maybe it's not a good idea. The mobsters, we're starting to get shown all this, like, I don't know if I want to be dealing with all this magic stuff. It's just messing everything up. Maybe this isn't a good idea. Maybe we should leave this be. But very heavily, you could compare it to maybe something like Black Monday Murders, or or black magic or like image stuff. Not necessarily influenced by that, but definitely kind of influenced by the same things that influence those going in those same directions.
I've loved the way you've written a lot of your things where they like I'm thinking about the spook specifically where it does definitely deal in something that requires you to understand that it's not based in reality, but so much of the story could be based in reality that is real. You're like, well, this is ridiculous, it couldn't happen, but wait, I bet you that in this case that there are government agencies trying to figure out how to use the undead to help them spy because they have used remote viewing and all those other things. So why not?
Why not? Exactly. One of the things, and I have some weirder off the wall stuff that one day will see the light of day. But for a lot of these, I like the idea that you include a lot of verisimilitude up front, and you take it as real as it can be, and then add in some strange. It could be music, or it could be something very, very science fiction-y beyond the realm of what we can do today. But something off the wall. But all the verisimilitude makes all of the other stuff a lot more believable. So if it's if everyone in the CIA is playing things completely straight, and they're using using a lot of and it's dark and grimy, and it's got more of like the feel of something like The Americans than it does James Bond, and you're more likely to believe it when suddenly a ghost shows up for the first time, because the people in it will be real, and the environments they have been in are real, and the reactions will be real. So it's sort of the same way here. I feel like if it's if the private detective is real and is acting in a real way, dealing with real crime, and the police are the same way, and the gangsters are the same way, and then every so often a 10,000-year-old man or a tiger-headed gangster shows up, you'll kind of believe it because you believed everything else up to that point.
Just the perfect amount of you're right, this isn't real, but wouldn't it be cool if it was?
But wouldn't it be cool if it was?
I mean, I have a lot of respect for a gangster that had a tiger head. It would be hard to, as an underling, say that you could be better than that.
Who else? Who wouldn't take orders from him? And who's gonna take over his outfit?
All right, so we just kind of talked via direct message just a few hours ago, and you had said that there were only somewhere in the 40 copy range left at the distributor. Has anything changed? Have you checked recently?
I haven't checked it recently to see if there's another update. I check it about once a day, and I usually check it around the end of the day. So I'll be checking again here very shortly. But there were about 70 on Saturday when I was there for at Space Cadets for Free Comic Book Day. And so now in 2 days more, another 30 have been ordered. So now there's only about 49 left. And hopefully that means people are looking for it, and some more getting ordered here pretty soon. So not very many left to do. I have some left at the publishers, but not many to the distributors.
Yeah, this is what happens a lot, is that you get closer to release date for something and word gets out that it's really great, then you start seeing, because in this case the distributor orders what they know is already been pre-ordered at FOC by the retailers, and then they kind of like build in some damages, and then they have an idea of like we want to have this many copies sitting around for reorders, or when people add to their order after the FOC 3 weeks out. And sometimes that number is nowhere close to what really the demand is going to be, but you can't always know. It's always a big surprise for them and for you as a publisher. Have you ever had another book that was like a complete surprise in that way, that you were like, oh no, here we are before release day and there's nothing left there for people to add, no matter how much I push the book?
Yeah, Riptide, the first volume of Riptide, where we got a decent order from the distributor. We thought we had all right, I kind of know what the demand on this book is going to be. It's going to be about the same as some of our last couple of books, so we're going to print like X number. And then the week of release, demand just shot through the roof, far. And by that point, by the time issue 1, because everything gets ordered, basically 2 months in advance. So by the time issue 1 actually hit stands, we'd also had our order for issue 2. and had already sent our print order for G2 and had those like en route. So I couldn't even go back and like double my printer number for G2 because that had already been happened. So demand for G1 just like shot through the roof, and we were cleaned out within a week. And Diamond was coming back and saying, "We need more, we need more." I'm like, "We're gonna have to go to second printing. It's gone. It's gone."
Yeah, because I remember trying to go in and order them and being like, "What do you mean they're already gone? This doesn't make any sense."
And we had like no warning the demand for that. But yeah, and I was looking at Diamond. I was looking at our Diamond retailer site, our publisher site, to like see for extra orders. Orders going up a little bit, but it was really like that Wednesday when it hit stands, and all of a sudden like the tsunami of demand that we did not know was out there came out, and it started popping up on TV collector sites, and people were like emailing us all the time. You have more. You have more. There's more. Can I get more?
Yep.
I don't have any more. I wish you had come and told me this 2 months ago. I would have made sure there were plenty.
Yeah, as the news cycle or the fan cycle or the speculation cycle gets tighter and tighter and tighter, it's really impossible for you as a publisher to know that you need to make, an extra overrun for something, because when you sent away to have the print run made, it's far enough out that there's no way. And especially now when all the supply and shipping is so uncertain, you have to go earlier and earlier, I suspect, to make sure that you're going to have the books to the distributor in time to get distributed. So that makes it even tougher.
Yep. Like getting to this point now, we've started to print stuff out of the country sometimes 6 months before it's going to be in stores, because it's going to take that long to actually get here and get customs and get unloaded and get into warehouses. So you're making, just like you're saying, the distributor is looking at, or the retailer is making some guesses on what demand is going to be. The distributor is making some guesses based on what the retailer's guesses were, and they're putting some padding into that. And then I see that number, and then I'm making some guesses about how many to print and putting some padding into that. But I can't, as much as I would love to do like 5,000, 10,000 copies of everything, to make sure that I can always get a copy. For the most part, I can't. Right, be sitting on these overflowing warehouses of issues that eventually I've got no I want. So you try to keep control of inventory as tightly as possible, but it also means that the supply chains have to go tight. We're trying to make those guesses the same way, and if we guess too little by the time something hits market, trying to kind of playing catch up a bit.
It's true. All right, so this is a big reminder for you guys, and one of the reasons why we have this show, honestly. Talking Shop is here to help you know what to add to your pull box and enough time for your local comic shop to pivot and have enough for you. So as soon as you really know that you're interested in a title, find out as much as you can and let them know early. So you telling them, for example, 24 hours before it releases, there really isn't a way for them to have them in time for release day for you. So as early as you know, let them know, or you have to be of the mind that you don't mind that you're not reading it on opening day, or that you believe that they're going to have an extra bunch on the rack. Just if you have a local comic shop that supports a lot of indies and you know they're going to have a bunch for you, then you don't have to worry about that anymore. But it definitely helps the whole system if you do tell your local comic shop as soon as you know if you love something like this. So don't forget to add the box to your pull box, especially if you pick up number 1 on Wednesday and you like it. A lot of stores also order the number 1 and then kind of see what your response is to that before they order the number 2s and 3s. And if you don't add it to your pull box and don't tell them that you loved it, then they assume that maybe their audience isn't for that store. So maybe they won't have but just 1, and you're going to fight it out Roman Greco style. And that's messy. So just make sure that you share that information with them. It helps.
Yeah.
Mr. Starnes, where should people find you on social media to know everything that they could possibly know about the box?
All right. Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Josh Starnes Film. You'll get everything that's happening with the box, plus all of my thoughts and reviews about movies and anything pop culture that's going on. I also write about that. And you can follow me on Instagram at JDStarnes1. You will get inundated with pictures of the box, reminders of all of its diamond order codes and when to go order it, and then eventually the next series that's coming on after that. I'm hard at work writing right now, and hopefully we'll have out next year. And you can come find me on Facebook at Red 5 Comics, where everything And check out our website, red5comics.com. If you want to keep abreast of everything we have that's going to be coming up, sign up for our newsletter, which will show you every new #1 that's coming up before we solicited, and we'll send you out all the Diamond Order codes. You can tell your store that you want it and what it is and how to prepare.
All right. Thank you so much, Josh, for joining us. We've run out of time, but don't leave. The experience has lots of great programming coming up for you, a great show following us. And then I'll be back in a couple hours and I can sell you the box. So make sure you mark it on your calendars for 2 hours from now. Why do you need a calendar? I don't know. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I'll see you later.